Hello, everyone. This is Jim Ransom, bringing you another Morning Jim poetry reading. I hope everyone had a good week as we transition into autumn, or maybe we're already there, and then winter. I just returned early the past week from a pheasant hunting expedition into South Dakota with a group of guys who I have made this trip with over the years. While it was very successful and convivial, we found our talk turning off into our children, our wives, and occasionally our grandchildren. In fact, two of us had grandsons with us. We all understood that everything was in good hands at home, recognizing, as we do, that it is women who do most of the work in the world. So today we are going to read some more poems about heroines. And heroines take many forms. They're not Greek goddesses with swords in their hands, necessarily. And let's face it, some of those Greek goddesses were pretty mean critters. No, our heroines can be anything. A baby or child, for example, such as in the following poem by Danielle Sellers, which is called Heroine, Cherub Squat in Diapers. This is again by Danielle Sellers. She pleasures in pudding smear, commercial jingles, and long baths. Learning patience, her fingers work a puzzle. Try as she might, the star will never fit the heart. The shape of my body is famous to her. I am moon and sun and the light. The dogs are gods to be scolded. She is often wrong. In this small house we orbit each other, always in motion. Even in sleep her eyes flutter, her tongue swirls around a pacifier. Her body contorts and makes use of the space it's given. She is without deadlines or ledgers. As the September solstice approaches, she plants her bare feet firmly in clay, points to the sky, the jasmine, her sandbox, relishes in the one good word she can say with gusto, outside, outside, outside. Isn't that a wonderful poem? It's a very original and I would say heartwarming description of a small child, maybe a year old, relishing small delights. She is a heroine. And perhaps her mother is as well. But it is not sentimental, which allows the sentiments it evokes in us to be the controlling sentiments that we recognize and admire. Next, here's a poem I wrote many years ago about my daughter growing up and having a family of her own. It is called A Blessing, and the epigram of this poem is for Laurel. And as many of you know, that's the name of my daughter. Okay, let's find it here. I've got a marker in the book, don't worry. And it's from this book called Immortal Prairie. And I've got an offer for you on this book. It's one that you really can't turn down, but that'll be a little bit later. The poem is called The Blessing. I see your round white eyes in the gloomy hall, intaking a whole world, scuttling toward me with a startled smile, a father undeserving such a golden hue. I scooped you up with a whoop and carried you to your supper. And soon you were my dancing girl, lithe and wavering like the limbs of the river birch, but steel began to show through those long, white legs. Together on a demanding north slope, we amended our garden. Bright fruits and white tulips rewarded us. And you learned to plant and reap. How much pleasure it gave me to see you, startled by an overgrown cucumber hiding in ambush. Then in the course of time, give you up to another man, even a good one. My pain drowned in the sweet pride of your wedding, where no bloom was white enough or perfect enough to be with you. Now, in the languages of word and sign, and from your steadfast care and courage, as the days pass, your own flowers grow in radiance, wisdom, unwisdom, smiles, sweat, tears, independence. Let these words be my thanks to you for all that is past, and be my blessing for all that is to come. And that's from a father to a daughter. Okay. I would have to say that Laurel has been a successful mother, and now she's nearing retirement age. Oh, she's going to hate it if she hears me say that. But heroines never retire. There's too much to do. And I think that describes Laurel perfectly. She's still a gardener, but now she has a vast garden to deal with. Okay, finally, I'm going to read you a verse that is, if I can find it, there it is. I'm going to read you a verse that is making the rounds in some corners of the internet. It is not so much about heroines, but it was written and was sung by one, Julie Andrews, of Sound of Music fame and many other wonderful recordings and movies. She sang this, and it's a poem. It's a lyric poem. She sang this at a convention of the AARP, the American Association of Retired Persons. You need to know that because you'll recognize why the words of this song are the way they are. So this was for a convention of old people like me. I was not there. But one of my friends sent me this, and I just think it is a wonderful poem. I've got to read it. Botox and nose drops, and needles for knitting, walkers and handrails and new dental fittings, bundles of magazines tied up in string. These are a few of my favorite things. Cadillacs and cataracts, hearing aids and glasses, Polydent and Fixodent and false teeth in glasses, pacemakers, golf carts, and porches with swings. These are a few of my favorite things. When the pipes leak, when the bones creak, when the knees go bad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. I shouldn't be and will not try to sing this. It's very tempting. hot tea and crumpets, and corn pads for bunions. No spicy hot food or food cooked with onions. Bathrobes and heating pads and hot meals they bring. These are a few of my favorite things. Back pain, confused brain, and no need for sinning. Thin bones and fractures, and hair that is thinning. And we won't mention our short, shrunken frames. When we remember our favorite things, when the joints ache, when the hips break, when the eyes grow dim. Then I remember the great life I've had, and then I don't feel so bad. What a wonderful lyric. Somebody wrote that for the convention. And Julie Andrews received a standing ovation from the crowd that lasted 4 minutes. And she had repeated encores that were requested by the crowd. And her clever wit and humor needed to be shared. And so that's why I'm reading this lyric today. Okay, that's it for today. Next week we'll move on to something else, but to find out what it will be, of course you will have to tune in, won't you? Meanwhile, anyone who wants a copy of this book, I just had some leftover copies shipped to me. And if you want one, it's going to be free of charge, and I'll pay the postage. I just hope I get a book rate. I think I will. Anyway, here's where you send me your address. jimransom506@gmail.com. jimransom506@gmail.com. Okay, I doubt if many of you are scrambling to take a screenshot of this, but if you did, I'll leave it up for just a minute longer. Yeah, jimransom506@gmail.com. And surprise, surprise, you'll get a copy of Immortal Prairie and Other Poems. So let me know if you want one. It's free of charge. No catches, nothing funny going on here. I promise you I'm not going to release your address or your name to any kind of mailing list. In fact, it probably won't even stay on mine very long because I'm notorious for losing things like that. And maybe that's a good thing. But you're safe with me. So, I'll see you next week, and I hope it'll be a good one for you. Bye now.